All right, we'll call this meeting of the Natrona County Planning and Zoning Commission to order at 5:30 PM. And first order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So first, we'll do introductions. We'll start at that end of the table. First is Maddie Pennington, planning technician. On around the way is Sabrina Kemper, the Natrona County Planning Director. Adjacent to her is Ashley Smith, the Natrona County Attorney. First over to my right, your left, is Ken White, Planning and Zoning Commissioner. Next to me is Kevin Christofferson, Planning Commissioner. My name's Hal Hutchinson. I'm the Chair. And over to my left is Chad McNutt. He is the Vice Chair. So, some housekeeping. This commission is an advisory board of the Natrona County Commissioners. Our decisions are subject to approval, conditional approval, denial, or modification by the Board of County Commissioners. For each application on the agenda, we will hold an official public hearing. The hearings are recorded, and there will be written minutes of this meeting. After the commission holds a public hearing, unless an application is tabled or withdrawn, the Board of County Commissioners will hold another public hearing for the application. Tonight, everyone will have an opportunity to address the commission. First, we'll have those in favor of the application come up to the podium and give your name and address. Then those opposed to the application will come up and do the same thing. And when the chair recognizes you, please come to the podium, clearly state your name, address. Okay. You must be recognized by the chair before addressing the commission. This is not a forum for public outcry or speaking from the audience. If a person's conduct is out of order, the chair may give the person a warning. If the person continues the conduct, or if the conduct is extremely out of order, the person may be directed to leave immediately. For tonight's agenda, we ask that you try to limit your comments to 5 minutes and try not to repeat things you or others may have already said. So we have 3 applications on the agenda this evening. Conditional use permit 26-02, and that's a request for conditional use permit by Union Wireless to construct a new 80 feet tall self-supporting tower next to their existing tower out on the east side of Casper. Conditional use permit 26-03, and that's a request for conditional use permit by Trevor and Karina Penor and Lucas Gooder and Stephanie Miller to build 2 recreation cabins on Casper Mountain. And last, MS 26-1. It's an item we had on the table that we're going to pull off. Allendale Addition, a request made by Mark and Missy Van Horn for a major subdivision to vacate and replat 10.65 acres in the Allendale area. So, next on the agenda is consideration of the minutes from May 12th, 2026. Have the commissioners had a chance to take a look at those? And if so, the chair would entertain a motion for consideration.
Mr. Chair, I did look at the minutes, and these minutes in particular, I appreciate the detail because we had a lot of back and forth. So thank you for that. Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes as prepared for May 12th, 2026, Natrona County Planning and Zoning Commission. Any discussion? Seeing none, Chair would, all those in favor of the minutes as prepared signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. I count unanimous approval of the minutes as prepared. Thank you again for the detail. All right. We're going to jump into our public hearings. Same order that I read those off before, that is the order we have here this evening. So the first one on the agenda is conditional use permit 26-02 Blackmore Cell Tower. And the short description says, as part of the RIP and replace program required by the FCC, SAC Wireless is submitting on behalf of Union Telephone Company, doing business as Union Wireless, a conditional use application. The application is for a new 80-foot tall self-supporting tower at parcel number, and I won't read that off, next to Union's existing 50-foot tall tower. The existing Union tower cannot withstand the structural load of the proposed equipment upgrade, nor is it suitable for future equipment loading. Therefore, Union Wireless proposes a new 80-foot lattice tower designed to support Union equipment, and that of up to 2 additional collectors. So Sabrina, may we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This property is, like you said, Union Telephone Company. It's located at 4100 Blackmore is the address. It's not really anywhere near Blackmore, but there's slides on where it's actually located. The zoning is urban ag, and it's a minimum lot size of 10 acres. There is an existing 50-foot cell tower located on the property. The surrounding zone is also urban agriculture. There is no water and no wastewater on the property. The conditional use permit criteria was in your packet. Sorry, my computer's not wanting to scroll very well. Okay, in the case of CUP 26-02, staff finds Union Wireless has provided the following summary for telecommunications tower. So, and if you want to look at the slides, like I said, I'm not real sure how this was addressed off of Blackmore, but the existing tower has been there for some time. So, however the addresses were done then, we kind of had like the arrow and a circle here to try and zoom out and show you guys where it's located. And then how you access that, there's an access road, and we'll discuss that a little bit more detail. This is this is a tower that's there currently, and then the proposed location for the new tower. This is looking from the Casper Country Club to the east. And this is the coverage area. So this is a 180-foot self-support tower. It's got 1 ice bridge, antennas associated. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my computer. Hang on. They anticipate keeping the existing 50-foot tower, they'll have a propane tank related equipment buildings. The tower will be structurally capable of supporting Union equipment and 2 additional co-locators. The Appendix 3 of the Natrona County 2022 zoning resolution addresses the location of new towers, including priority locations, with county or public property as a top priority for location. The next location is on existing towers, Casper Mountain Tower Hill, and the 3rd priority location, and property zoned heavy industrial, light industrial, commercial, RAM, and UA as the fourth priority location. The resolution also states that if one of these sites is not suitable for a new tower, a detailed explanation is needed. Union Wireless has provided the following explanation for the location of the 80-foot tower. The relatively weak signals along Wyoming 258 Southeast Wyoming Boulevard between Casper K2 and planned Casper South site. This has also been referred to as a Casper South site within the company. And the coverage area in the residential area in the vicinity of Summit Elementary School are the primary objective. These areas are identified with poor customer service experience due to reduced modulation schemes yielding lower individual user data throughputs. The cumulative effect is a reduction in overall network capacity in the area. Each telecommunication service provider's wireless network is unique. Expansion of any individual wireless network is impacted by the network technology, existing coverage, including coverage gaps, terrain, morphology, and capacity requirements, to name a few, which affects the selection of an individual site, as well as the build-out of multiple sites in the network. As part of Union's extensive upgrade to a full LTE packet, voice, and data network, it was determined a tower upgrade was required at this site. The planned 80-foot antenna height Casper Outer Drive site enables well-defined dominant signal spaces, providing for high modulation schemes, high individual user throughputs, seamless mobility, and efficient spectrum resource use to meet capacity demand along Southeast Wyoming Boulevard and residential areas in the vicinity to provide a footprint expansion to the south and supplemental signal improvements to the east along 253 Hat-6 Road and I-25. Planning considerations, we sent out to agencies. The county health department stated that they do not show any septic located in the vicinity, so they have no concerns. Fire district state that they don't have any issues. GIS department asked about easements in place. There's a few properties they cross to access the tower property. Property easements are pending. So I'm bring this slide back up because we'll discuss the easements. The assessor stated they prefer that the meets and bounds be described on the parcel. The County Conservation District did not make a comment, and Road and Bridge did not make a comment. Staff sent notices to 6 surrounding property owners. As of the date of this report, staff received 1 written comment in opposition to the new tower, and the letter was provided in your packet. So addressing the easements, there are 2 properties that we're not showing easements across, which I have a mouse today and we were supposed to be able to, there it is. Okay, so these 2 properties, we couldn't find easements to. Union Wireless has stated they're working with all of the property owners to get easements in place to have access to the area. Sorry, one more time. Okay, so staff recommends, finds the application complete and in compliance, recommends a due pass with the condition that the easements be in place. The condition that we have in the office, and we've talked to the applicant, is that the easements will be in place prior to going to BOCC. Should you all approve it and send it forward tonight, those easements are going to have to be in place prior to going to BOCC. And the applicant is here if you have questions for me or them.
So first, any questions for staff? Quick question. How do they get access to the 50-foot tower now?
We believe that it was there for a while ago, and it was probably one of the handshake agreements, because that's what we've discovered on a lot of access easements, that there's not official records.
Okay. All right. So at this time, if the applicant wants to come in and give us whatever additional information we might need, you're welcome to do that. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Chris Schlax. I'm with SAC Wireless on behalf of Union Wireless. I also have Cody Quintal with Union Wireless in the audience in case there's further questions. A little bit of background on the program. As mentioned, it was part of the federal Rip and Replace program. There's some Chinese-made equipment that's deployed out in the network, and the federal government has determined that that is a national security threat, and so they're funding replacement of that equipment. The new equipment that's going in would cause the existing tower to fail, and thus we're looking to replace or put in the new tower for this new equipment. The increase in height, as mentioned, up to 80 feet, allows for better coverage into some of those surrounding areas and how this tower interacts with some of the other towers in the network. It also allows for those 2 additional co-locators for future equipment on the tower. I think one other thing I wanted to mention, there was the one opposition letter, and it mentioned removal of the existing 50-foot tower. We are open to that and would be willing to remove it within 1 year of the new tower going up and ensuring that's operational. And the other kind of question there was just the height requirement, and I think we did provide some coverage maps to show that the 80-foot versus the 50-foot does provide some needed coverage, especially back into the more populated areas, and some balance between network loading with some of the other towers. So we do think that the higher height there is justified and needed. I think outside of that, happy to answer any other questions.
Anything for the applicant?
Just real quick, Mr. Chair, I wonder if you could speak to the easements issue and if you know anything about it. If it was just a handshake agreement, or how are you currently getting access to the tower?
Yeah. Cody, any thoughts on that? Yeah.
So yeah, as Chris mentioned, my name is Cody Quintel. I'm site acquisition specialist for Union Wireless. So this was a little bit before my time at Union, but it does seem that there was kind of a handshake agreement. Currently, there is a pretty well, I wouldn't say maintained, but obvious 2-track to our facilities currently. And so yeah, we are currently working on reaching out to these landowners, specifically those 2, as well as Pacific Corp. And there's just quite a few entities involved, being the city of Casper, the county. So I think we need to have some more internal conversations in regards to getting a legal easement in place. And we have gotten a survey completed. So we're kind of underway of trying to get that all accomplished.
Mr. Chair, just to follow up, do you anticipate any issues with getting those easements? Do you see any potential roadblocks or potential problems of getting those?
I guess potentially maybe a timeline, but I think with the other landowners in the area, I think they also need access to their own properties, and I think that whole area is a little bit of a handshake agreement, I guess you could say. So I think cleaning it up and all working together to get a clean access through there would be beneficial to the area.
Anything else for the applicants? Thank you, gentlemen. All right, so we've had the introduction. Time to move into the public hearing for this application. And this is to open the public hearing for consideration of conditional use permit 26-02. That's what we're calling the Blackmore Cell Tower. So anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application, you can come forward, please. This is a time where the applicant usually comes up and just reiterates that it's your application and you're in favor of it.
Hello, once again, Chris Schlax with SAC Wireless on behalf of Union Wireless. Reiterate kind of what I said before, but in terms of this application, we're looking to install the new 80-foot cell tower, which will provide better coverage, replace the existing equipment that needs to be replaced per the FCC. And I think overall will provide needed connections to other towers in the Casper area.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the application? To come forward, please. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Joe Nicholas, 1350 Murado Drive. I'm the, I believe you have a letter in the packet from me. If it's all right, I'd like to provide a couple photos to you. Sure. So, Mr. Chairman, my wife and I own 120 acres directly north of Eastgate Ranch. The Union Wireless parcels are small parcels right on Eastgate Ranch. So effectively, if you look at the photo on top, that's our property line, that's the fence line, and you can see that that's the picture of the existing antenna. So that's our view right there. I'd like to state, first of all, that we are supportive, and we do believe that it's important for the community to have strong communications. And so from that standpoint, we certainly want to find a solution here. I would like to say that after we did send the letter, Union Wireless did reach out to us. They've been very professional. And ultimately, I believe we'll figure out a resolution that meets everybody's expectations. But given the fact that we don't have that to date, I didn't want to pass up on the opportunity to make my public comments. So I think, as you can see on that top photo, that is the 50-foot tower. The current proposal as stands would add a second tower that's 60% taller than that. And so certainly I think you guys can understand that that would affect our view shed there. I think from our standpoint, the real question, always in these matters is it a matter of technology or is it a matter of cost? And in trying to address some of those and understand whether it's an issue of cost or whether it's an issue of technology, Union Wireless did provide us today a study, a RF study, and near as I can tell on the data that I've been provided, there was a study showing the coverage with the 80-foot tower, but there wasn't a study shown that I've seen looking at a 50, a 60, 70, and 80-foot tower. So from our perspective, we would like to see what does the coverage look like on those incremental heights moving up to the 80-foot tower. And ultimately, it would be helpful just to understand, is this the best technical solution or is it the cheapest solution? And, in the industry I'm in, typically you would have to have a professional engineer certify that, hey, this is the technical solution that has to be provided. If you all take a drive around Wyoming Boulevard sometime between now and the next meeting, you'll see there are a number of cell phone towers inside 258 that are not on this coverage study. So my assumption is those are probably not within the network or not partners, not towers that they have access to. Regardless of the outcome, should it turn out that the 80-foot tower is the correct answer, then we would request that the existing tower is taken down, which they've said that they're willing to do, but once again, that's not something that's been amended in the application. And then the final comment from our standpoint is the current application requests a lattice tower, and the second image there that I provided to you all is the tower down by Fremont Motors, and I believe it's a monopole tower. So we would also request that, unless there's a reason why you can't use a monopole tower, that a monopole tower would be used. I once again suspect that it's a matter of cost versus technical capability. Thank you for your time.
Questions for Mr. Nicholas? So I guess I have a quick one. Have you been part of that discussion about within 1 year taking the 50-foot tower down? Have you been part of that?
The discussion has been that they are open to taking down the tower, but that's the extent of this discussion.
Just heard through the grapevine.
No, the Union Wireless, when I sent the letter, they contacted me
Okay.
and said we would be willing to take down the tower, and so certainly that's something. But like I said, until things are written and formally changed, I'd like my comments to reflect that.
Mr. Chair, could you, I guess, describe in your own words the difference between the two tower types and why you would prefer one over the other?
Yeah, I think just aesthetically. So aesthetically, if you think about my understanding on a lattice tower, or and I'll apologize, this is with an afternoon of research, so this isn't my area of expertise. But my understanding is the lattice tower is, a big, when you think about a A-frame power pole, and if you look at I did send a picture of the pole that is behind Fremont Motors, which is also an 80-foot tower. I believe it's referred to as a monopole. I could be inaccurate on that, but from my perspective, it's more aesthetically pleasing than a big structure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're still in the public hearing, and we're asking for comments from those in opposition to the application. One more time, anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, this is to close the public hearing for the conditional use permit 26-02, the Blackmore Cell Tower. So, at this time, if the applicant would want to come back up and get a chance for rebuttal from what you've heard on the folks that are opposing you.
Yeah, sounds good. So Chris Schlax, once again with SAC Wireless on behalf of Union Wireless. So thanks for the comments. I think the two or three kind of key items here that were brought up. One is the removal of the existing 50-foot. I think that was open to discussion. If that becomes a condition of approval, again, we are open to that, and that's fine within 1 year of the new tower being up and operational to ensure the new tower works with the network and the network is servicing the community. The second piece that was brought up was regarding different heights, so 50 feet, 60 feet, 70 feet, 80 feet. So we provided two views in the coverage plots. I don't know if you can pull those up. You had the 45-foot view up there for a little bit, but we did provide in the packet the coverage for an 80-foot proposed tower. So that may be in your packet, or I can hand out the comparison here for look if we don't have it. If we don't have it, I can show you the two here. So on the screen is what we have for the 45-foot tower, which is what you have today, or what would be for an updated tower there, I guess. The other plot, which is for the 80-foot, which is what is being proposed. I think the biggest, or I guess to explain kind of what you're seeing here with the colors, the green is considered strong service. The light green is where you start to see maybe a little bit of degraded service. Indoors might be a bit of a challenge. You might start to see some network congestion or drop calls. And then the white would be no service provided by this tower. Also in the packet, there are composite coverage areas, which like up in the populated area there to the northwest is going to be covered by other towers. So even though this tower starts to level off a little bit, other towers would pick that up. But what we're really seeing here with the 45 versus what's in the packet for the 80-foot tower is you start to see that green and light green extend into the populated areas. It extends north up to the highway as well. And that's really what our goal is, to ensure that this tower interacts with other towers in the network to provide that seamless coverage. As far as in between, I think the 80-foot was chosen from a tower perspective that allows for not only this additional coverage, but also you have room for future co-locations. This tower is an existing tower, so it's strategically placed within the network along with the neighboring towers. So looking at other towers in the area, if you're going to add something there, you're likely to degrade existing service, which is one thing we don't want to do. Or you'd have to extend those other towers higher in order to keep the service in some of these areas. So from this perspective, because it's an existing tower, we're able to mimic the existing coverage, make sure nobody loses service, as well as improve coverage, extend the coverage, and help it with other towers in the area. I think two things with where the interaction with the other towers is important is if there is network congestion, they can offload between the two towers, as well as if there is some sort of issue with the other tower and it goes down, this tower would be able to extend into that area somewhat and still provide service while restoration is made. The other comment that was made was regards to, in this case, a lattice tower versus a monopole. There probably is some cost difference between the two of them. Typically, we go by what is required by code and allows for the necessary height and coverage that we have. So in this case, that was what was proposed, was the lattice tower.
What tower?
The 80-foot lattice tower as opposed to a monopole.
Yes, sir.
Could you tell us when this original tower was installed?
Cody, any idea? So he said, yeah, at least 20 years. So he'll take a look. That's something we can provide to you.
Anything else for Mr. Slacks? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so for the application information from staff and from the applicant, and we've got a public hearing. What does planning and zoning wish to do?
You want to discuss it a little bit, or?
Sure.
Well, I do live kind of in the area. I am south of Outer Drive, and I have very beautiful views around me, but I can see cell towers, and they're relatively close. And unfortunately, living anywhere viewshed isn't something that we can consider. It's one of those not in my backyard things that, even though I value my view shed, I realize if the neighbor wants to do something that they want to do and there's no covenants, that there's really nothing you can do about it. So I'm going to support this tower. I don't know if there's a way to modify this that we can give them the year with the old tower and mandate that it's tore down, because I don't like leaving junk, go down to Southern California and see all the windmills that aren't running anymore. They just leave them there. So I think the old tower does need to come down. Sounds like they're both amenable to that, but an extra 30 foot on top of a tower that's already there. I don't know when the properties were bought or purchased, but so I'm going to support it, and I'll make the motion if we're done talking about it.
Okay, was it your intention to include specifications of the motion, like the easement and the tower being removed within a year.
It would be if, I just don't know how to put it legally, so maybe we'd have the attorney write that up. So I have the sample motion here to approve. I just want to make sure that it's,
One moment, let me see the sample motion so I can tailor that. So on your sample motion, sorry, Sabrina. So be considering all relevant factors, including but not limited to those set forth in the 2022 zoning resolution of Natrona County. I find that the conditional use permit meets the general standards required with the added condition that the old tower be removed within 1 year
within 1 year of the completion
of
of
the
the new.
completion of
the
the
new
new tower. On that basis, I move to approve,
Easements.
oh, and that, okay, with the additional, or, yes. So with the condition that the old tower be removed within 1 year of the new tower being built and the easements agreements being put in place.
By when? The time it goes to the county commissioners, or before they start construction, or what?
I would say
Do you-
before you start construction,
Prior to
prior to
the
construction.
the start of construction.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I won't try to repeat what I just heard, but a lot of stuff. So any further discussion? So I guess from my standpoint, I echo a lot of what I hear from Commissioner Christopherson. I hear the deal with the view shed, and I'm empathetic to it, but, you know, windmills and get into an urban area, there's always going to be something that irritates folks next door. So, I also intend to vote for the application. And I will mention one more thing, the monopole. We had some good minutes taken last time. I think it'd be a good idea to put the discussion about the monopole in the minutes so that the county commissioners can take that up. I understand that they've entertained similar requests over the years, and I'm not so sure that is where we as a advisory board can take that up. Anyone else? All right, we're going to move to the question. All those in favor of the motion as stated by the county attorney with the two additions, in favor of the application, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, hearing none, we have unanimous do pass recommendation for the county commissioners. And I understand that goes to the county commissioners on July 8th. So you folks are going to have to be back in Casper in a month. Okay. Second item on the agenda this evening is conditional use permit 26-03. Gooder, Penor cabins. That is a request for conditional use permits by Trevor and Karina Penor, and if I'm butchering that name, let me know. And Lucas Gooder and Stephanie Miller to build 2 recreational cabins on Casper Mountain. The property is located in the Mountain Residential 2, MR2 zoning district totaling 8.65 acres. The property is designated as part of Lot 2, the northeast of the southeast of the northwest, Section 18, Township 32 North, Range 78 West. Sabrina, may we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This property is located, like you said, on the mountain off of Ponderosa Road, kind of right where Easton comes in, and then where Ponderosa cuts off right in there. Mountain Residential 2, a minimum of 5 acres. It's currently vacant, and the surrounding areas and land use is all Mountain Residential 2. The water source, they intend to haul water, and for wastewater, they've had significant communications with the health department. They don't intend on having these as anything more than dry cabins, but they're working with the health department on what they would do for future plans on that. No current plans are proposed. In your packet was the criteria for meeting the conditional use permit. The proposed cabins are in compliance with the 2022 zoning resolution and the 2022 Casper Mountain Land Use Plan. The structures do not qualify as dwelling units per the International Residential Code due to the square footage requirements, which qualifies the structures as outbuildings under the 2022 zoning resolution. The cabins fit within the definition of outbuildings as the storage of personal property within an enclosed structure for use by the property owner. This includes, but is not limited to, property such as recreational vehicles, all-terrain vehicles, boats, equipment, or livestock. Minimum lot size for outbuildings is 5 acres and cannot exceed 10% of the lot coverage for the following districts: MR1, MR2, RR, SR, UR, and UMR. The intent and purpose of the MR2 district is to establish and protect areas for low-density residential and accessory agricultural uses in accordance with the 2022 Casper Mountain Land Use Plan. The proposed cabins are in conformance with rural area goals of the 2022 Casper Mountain Land Use Plan. This category helps protect grazing lands and allows for buildings and uses in support of ranching and very low-density residential uses. Other appropriate uses may include accessory structures, home occupations, light agriculture, and open space recreation facilities. Per Chapter 4 of land use categories, the cabins are designated as non-dwelling accessory structures that private owners may sleep inside but not reside in permanently. As for the planning considerations, so we have 2 pictures of the proposed cabins. There's 2, as was mentioned earlier. This is one, and this is another one. County Road and Bridge reviewed the CUP and stated they do not see any impact to the county road. Access will be on a private easement that is gated at Ponderosa Road. County Fire District did not comment. The Health Department reviewed the CUP and shared concerns about proposed plans for the cistern, but as I mentioned, the applicant and the Health Department have gone back and forth extensively with communications on what would be allowed and what wouldn't be. So they're in pretty close communication. GIS did not comment. The assessor mapping reviewed and found no issues. Records reviewed and found no issues, and Conservation District did not comment. Staff sent notice to 9 surrounding neighbors. At the time of this staff report, we have received no public comments and still have not received any public comments opposing or supporting either one. The staff finds application to be complete and in compliance with zoning codes and recommends a G-Pass to the Board of County Commissioners. And this is our first application for our outbuildings that we propose. So we did get several phone calls, and we didn't get any written comments asking why this was happening. And they were surprised that somebody wants to do this right. So that was kind of the general comments on the, like, why, what are they doing? Like, why? And like, well, there's all kinds of these cabins up here. Like, well, these guys want to do it with a permit, so this is why we passed the outbuildings. So, and the applicant's here if you have any questions for him.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
What is the minimum size to have this outbuilding? I mean, what's the maximum size?
50% of the lot
No, but
is the coverage.
But-
So,
can you do a 4,000 square foot house and still call it an outbuilding?
well, you wouldn't because the building permitting process would be different.
I just don't know. I have no idea how you can call. It looks like a house to me. It's probably going to have power and a foundation and everything. I just don't know how. I wasn't here during the outbuilding, so I don't know about that. So I just.
Yeah, the permitting process would be different because they're not proposing to live in this year round. This is something they want to go and enjoy on the weekends or, throughout the year, different times throughout the year. They're not proposing to live there. So if they were wanting to live there, I mean, I know this looks, like a house. It's super cute, but it's not something they're not going to have indoor plumbing, everything that you would need for a house.
Electricity?
Potentially, I can have the applicant
Sure.
address
Yeah, I
that.
just-
There's,
I'm not opposed to this. I'm just trying to educate myself.
yeah, they can speak to a lot of that.
Okay.
Any other questions for the development director?
Just one quick question, Sabrina. You mentioned there was a size requirement, or it was under. I can't remember what you said, but there was a standard, and it's below that. So these are like 500 square feet approximately.
Yeah, approximately.
And so being under that kind of, I guess, allows it to be considered an outbuilding, where if it was larger, it would, fall under different
Correct.
regulations. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But you mentioned it was something like international.
The IRC, so it's International Residential Code.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, would the applicants like to come forward and present any additional information we need to be aware of? Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Lucas Gooder. I'm a Natrona County resident, and this is our application. We're supportive of it. Mr. Christofferson, to answer your questions, there will be concrete pier and beam type foundation that will meet all of the county's building codes. The electricity will be provided by a gas generator and a battery, much the same way as a camper would be. We spend a lot of time on the mountain, but we don't want to live there. So this is more of just an outpost, somewhere where we can store our gear, camp, get out of the bad weather that we get stuck up in there a lot. The Pinors are family friends, almost 2 decades now, and we wanted to do this the right way because we're going to leave this to our kids and their kids, and they're going to be friends. This is Karen, a Pinor. And, so we need to be above water. We didn't want to cut any corners. That's why we want to take advantage of the text amendment. We're honored to be the first CUP on this. I hope we're not the last. But we're committed to being peaceful, responsible recreators strictly, and abiding by, whatever health codes and permit process and requirements need to be followed. That's the intention. So, and I can answer any questions you have about the structures or our plans, or Kara.
Well, is it going to be a stick built? Are you just going to build it, or is it a kit, or?
It's stick, absolutely. And the engineers are going to certify all of the rafters, to the 100 pound per square foot snow load. We've got leads and all that. The health department has helped us work out some future plans for water, but for right now, just dry structures. And there's plenty of public facilities around we can use for, restrooms, what we've been using for the last 20 years. So now we just have an outpost supported by our homes down in the city if we need anything more than, a pot of water. So.
So quick question here.
Sir.
Is it your intention to rent these out like a bed and breakfast?
No, sir.
Strictly personal use?
Personal recreational only is and has been our plan from the beginning,
Okay.
and will continue to be.
So this picture doesn't show it, but I assume you're going to have big enough doors to get your 4-wheelers inside and whatnot.
You got it. Yes, sir. This was a concept picture. My designs are similar in shape, but sufficient to say will be tailored to our personal needs. I'd be able to use dirt bike storage, side by side trailers, things like that. Gear for outdoorsmanship. So,
Okay.
Other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Actually, you guys might want to stick close because we are going to do the public hearing and want to say you like what you're doing. All right. This is to open the public hearing for consideration of conditional use permit 26-03, and that's the Gooder Penor Cabins application. Any of those in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application, you may come forward and give your name and address.
Lucas Gooder, Natrona County resident. I am for this application for conditional use to build an outlying recreational building for our personal use, and something that we can leave to our kids, and be clear on all of the zoning and permitting requirements and what we need to do to make sure there's no obstacles for them in the future.
Thank you.
I'm Karen Penor, and I am also in favor of this application. We just want to be able to utilize the mountain for its beautiful purposes, being outside, enjoying the nature, and leaving something for our kids that won't cause them any future headache in the passing of property. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application? Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is that cabin exactly the way it's going to be? That's awesome what you want to do. I lived on a mountain similar like that in Oregon with my grandparents, or my grandfather built it by himself out of logs, and the only machine he had was a hand winch. He would not accept any machinery from the neighbors or anything like that. But that's an awesome place to go to. But I am in favor of this.
Could we get your name and address, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to do that. Bernie Studer, 2951 Allendale Boulevard.
Thank you.
Now you messed up my thought. But anyway, I want to caution the county, once these things start, that area I was talking about where I lived, when I was a kid a few years ago, it's a major metropolitan area, so to speak. So, but I would approve it, and just be cautious, use caution. And somebody 20 years from now may decide that whole mountain needs to be developed. So, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Aiden Gooder. I'm a Natrona County resident, and I'm the first son of the Gooder family. I would just like to say that I'm in favor of this. I'm really looking forward to helping build it this summer, and it's just always been kind of a dream of mine to have like some sort of place that I can go up on the mountain for recreational use, just as sort of an escape or some sort of safe place that I feel like I can go to. And it would truly be a blessing if you would allow us. Thank you.
Hi there.
Hey, good evening. My name is Blake Gooder. I'm the second son of the Gooder family. I'm a Natrona County resident. I would like to say I'm in favor of this, and I'm also looking forward to building it this summer. When I was a little kid, like even younger than I am now, because obviously I'm not very old, we would always go hiking or camping, or you'd take us to a new trail, which would inevitably leave me in the back of a truck driving home whining about my sore legs. But looking back, those are some of my fondest memories as a kid. Just hanging out with my family and building memories up there. And so it would be such an honor to have a place where I could go with my family and spend time and just make more of those unforgettable memories. And not just me, but also my kids, their kids, just whole family generation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the application? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? All right, anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the application? You can come forward now. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the conditional use permit? Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, this is to end the public hearing for CUP 26-03, the Gooder Pinor Cabins. So, Planning and Zoning Commission, you guys have heard the testimony. Do we have any discussion? Chair would entertain a motion for consideration. It's open.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, considering all relevant factors, including but not limited to those set forth in the 2022 zoning resolution of Natrona County. I find that the conditional use permit meets the approval criteria required. On that basis, I move to approve CUP 26-03 with a due pass recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners with all staff findings of fact incorporated by reference.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second for due pass consideration. Any discussion?
I'll chime in a little bit. Built a couple cabins myself. They were much bigger than this one, but I would like if you would send me that, because I had no idea that that cup thing even existed. So I'd like to study up on that. But yeah, what a family building experience that is to build a place like that with your kids. So yeah, I'm excited for you.
Looks pretty nice. All right, we're ready to move to the question. So all those in favor of due pass recommendation for conditional use permit 26-03 as voiced in the motion to approve, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Seeing and hearing none, it is the recommendation of this Natrona County Planning and Zoning Commission for due pass consideration by the county commissioners at their meeting on July 8th, 2026. So thank you folks for coming out. All right. A lot of folks in the audience for this next one, it looks like. So we next move to tabled MS 26-01, the Allendale edition. So a request made by Mark and Missy Van Horn for a major subdivision to vacate, replat Block 18, that's lots 18 through 26, Block 19 and Block 20, including alleyways and streets adjacent to the properties of Allendale Addition into 4 lots totaling 10.65 acres. The properties are all located within the suburban residential SR zoning district. The applicants would like to use proposed lots 1 and 2 for future residential use and proposed lots 3 and 4 for commercial use. The property is designated as part of the southeast quarter, northwest quarter, section 22, township 33 north, range 79 west. So it's my understanding, first thing we need to do is take the application off the table.
Mr. Chair, I move to untable 26-01, the application.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to take the application off the table. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Sabrina, may we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We have a couple of maps up to give you an idea of where this is at in Allendale area, and then kind of zoomed in a little bit so you can see the proposed 4 lots. So you can see the lot 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we have more of a satellite view, so you could also see where this is at. You see where McKinley and then Allendale are. North is up. South, obviously, is the mountain. And this is on the ground, the proposed, where the lots are as well. So that was, hopefully you understand where this area is located. This is the same as the last slides, but just kind of a short recap on that to remind you all of that. As you mentioned, they're proposing to vacate and replat these lots. It's a total of 10.65 acres into 4 lots. They intend to connect to City of Casper water and City of Casper sewer. Staff found that the conditions for the major subdivision were met. Reviewing the staff reports, Road and Bridge had initial concerns with ingress and egress to Spicer and Market. And Spicer, I'm going to go back. So Market is on the south side of Huckleberry here. Half of Market was vacated with this Huckleberry Lane. The other half is not vacated. This one right here is Spicer. Just as a reminder, and per Road and Bridge, after discussion between the applicant and Road and Bridge supervisors, the concerns were mitigated. County Fire did not have any issues. The County Health Department stated that they don't have any concerns or objections to the proposal, assuming all wastewater discharges to the public sewer system. Chapter 2, Section 14 of the Natrona County Small Wastewater Systems Regulations stipulates that the owner or occupant of lands or premises shall connect to a public sewer if any boundary of the land is within 300 feet of a public sewer within the 201 facilities planning area boundary, provided that the existing small wastewater system permit was issued after the 201 interagency agreement, July 17th, 1981, and the sewer utility permits such connections to its sewers. County GIS reviewed and accepted the revisions on the plat. Assessor mapping did not respond. The county surveyor reviewed and accepted the plat after appropriate corrections were made. County records reviewed and discussed using Spicer versus 30th on the plat. We had to get an affidavit to fix a previous plat that had 30th on it. We found a few different issues with that. It should be Spicer. It was named Spicer in 1921 when it was originally platted. So we used Spicer on this. So like I said, that was corrected. And then the Conservation District did not have a comment. So staff sent notices to 33 surrounding neighbors. Staff has since had multiple phone calls and written comments in opposition, which were provided in your packet. We also did receive 2 more this past Friday that were emailed to you all, and they're actually up on your computers as well if you didn't get a chance to read those, because they did just come in on Friday. Since this was tabled last meeting, staff received a memorandum from the Wyoming PDES inspector for the Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality. He reported there was no ongoing construction and that the ground had not been recently disturbed. This letter is also in your packet as well. The inspector discussed best management practices with Mr. Kyle Soul and for redirecting stormwater. The inspector met with the Van Horns who also discussed best management practices for redirecting stormwater. The inspector noted in the report that Mr. Van Horn added a dirt berm while the inspector was on site to lengthen the area on the backside of Mr. Sewell's shop. The inspector also noted in the report that the Allendale and Natrona County has always had issues with stormwater draining, usually affecting everyone in the neighborhood. The staff did want to recommend that that a drainage study be complete prior to any further development or anything on the area. The drainage study was actually provided to us, I believe it was last week, and that was also forwarded to you all. Wasn't in the packet because we just got it last week, but it was forwarded via email to you all. The applicants in the audience, if you have any questions for them, and there's also residents that would like to speak as well.
Okay. Questions for staff? Thank you, Sabrina. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just have a quick question. Sorry. One of the reasons we tabled this last meeting was some of the issues around the legal nature of doing this, and some of there's precedent there's precedent for doing this, for replatting these lots. And so can you speak to that a little bit more? I know we delayed this for staff to do a little bit more research, and I'm curious if you uncovered anything. Has anything changed since we met last in May?
That is a legal question that I will defer to the attorney on.
So there really hasn't been any change. Legally, yes, we can do this. Unless you have like more specific, I guess.
Well, so there is precedent. It happened, and I can't remember the dates now. It was like 2009, maybe 2016,
Correct.
somewhere around there. We don't know why or what the processes were to do that.
And I will say the process that they used there probably wasn't as formal as what we're doing here.
Okay.
It was not actually like, for this, we're asking them to do a replat, right? So we're doing a complete vacation replat. When the other one was done, they literally just kind of crossed off those lots on the original plat.
Okay.
We did not find any like that formal process like we're doing today, right? When I looked at that, I didn't really feel comfortable going that route. I think it's better, we have more legal standing to actually do a complete replat. And I think that's the better route to go with this, with what they're trying to do.
Okay. So it's your opinion that there's not a legal issue here that
Correct.
we can proceed. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else for staff? Thank you, Sabrina. Okay, at this time, we offer the applicant the opportunity to come forward and fill us in on things that may have been not covered or maybe need to be better understood.
Hello, I'm
Good
Mark
evening.
Van Horn, this is my wife Missy, and we are the owners of that property right there. If you look at that right there, we own 80 lots up there, and it's just a lot of lots, you know. So we want to replat it so that we can, our house is gonna be pretty nice size, you know. The way the lots are set right now, they're set east and west, and the sun comes up and, you know, sets in the west. We want to turn everything we got toward the mountain so that it actually gets sun on both sides of it. I believe that everything that you guys have requested us to do, we've done. Drainage studies, paperwork, everything with attorneys. We just don't have a bunch to say.
We're just looking forward to moving
Yeah.
up there, putting our house up there, our daughter being next to us.
Yeah.
We will help each other, you know, with all the properties, because we have that right side and that left side to care for, and we just want a nice place for our family.
And I'd like to say that, you know, whoever platted that out meant for this to be developed. They did not, you know, that's what their intentions were. You know, I know there's folks that aren't happy about it, but everything's happening in Casper, there was a lot of people that weren't happy about it. So there's where we're at. We don't want to waste your time.
We were thinking it was maybe platted for trailer houses because the way it was done, and that's not what we planned on doing with it, so that's why we need to replat.
Right.
So, thank you.
Anyway, we'd like to save a minute for later. Our attorney was supposed to be here today, but he had some health issues. He was gonna explain some stuff to you, but.
Well, that son of a gun.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Well, I'm telling you. That's what I said. Anyway, if we could have a minute after everybody's done, we'd appreciate it.
I have a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
So I just got my handy dandy Onyx hunt out, and did you guys just buy this?
We bought it about a year and a half ago.
Okay, because it still says it's owned by
Oh,
Kathy.
so it's M&M Equipment Rentals also?
Yes, that's us.
Yeah,
Kathy
that's us.
Said Mark Revocable Trust.
That's Sid
And,
Dr.
and if I
So,
look at it.
so that's the
has
lady we're
both of us
purchasing it
listed.
from.
Okay,
So
that's who you're purchasing it from.
Yes.
Because she still owns that stuff there to the south.
No, we own it all.
Oh, you,
We bought it all.
it's not
So,
even
yeah,
in
if
the
I could-
green? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I see that on my deal. So you own all of that.
Yes.
Why aren't you doing a replat of the entire thing, and why you just,
Because we don't know what we're gonna do with the rest of that,
okay?
so we didn't wanna do it all at once. I mean, it was just one of those things that's a big enough area for us to do what we want. And there's not a ton of them, but you know, I've seen probably 8 antelope up there while we're up there, and they're usually up on the top of the hill. So if we just leave that there for a while and see what's gonna happen with the rest of it, we're not disturbing all the wildlife, you know, I mean, and this same thing was done by that gentleman right
Elton.
there in 16, or I don't know if he did it or not, but I mean, he replatted all his stuff and he was allowed to do it with a lot less
Stress.
legal and things than we gotta go through, so we'll just see how it goes, guys.
So, lot 1 and 2 are gonna be your house lots,
Yes.
and then you're gonna do commercial stuff on the front?
Well, so because we're grandfathered in, we don't have to get a conditional permit for doing that. But we were gonna put storages. We were gonna start storages here, there's gonna be 3 buildings here and that one here, and then another 3 buildings there and over here, and then another 3 buildings here. So I don't think there's gonna be more than 9 buildings there. They will be lit, they will be secured fenced, but their light will shine down. There's some light issues last time, about invading. There's a gentleman over there, Kyle, he's got lights on his building, and they just flood everybody. But we will turn our lights down, we'll make sure the drainage is proper. Every road we put in, everything that we do, power, anything else, will be approved by the county, you know, by the buildings. So we wanna do it as legal as we can, but bought this property, so, and anybody that would have bought it would be doing the same, not exactly what we're doing, but they would expect the same. No, to be doing what they wanted to do with it.
And this would have been taken care of quite a while ago, but we had these issues. We
Yeah,
had the
we
road
had-
issues. We had to
We
address
had
that.
access issues because Kyle was keeping us out of there, trying to say it was his proper road, and then the McCoys had all kinds of stuff on Market Street, so we couldn't get in that way, so we had access problems to it. So it took us over a year to deal with that, and it finally took an attorney to get it done. And we're still
In the
trying to get it,
process.
because this is a 60-foot street. The street's going this way, 50-foot, the street's going this way. You can see, if this was to be, yeah, they weren't vacate, the boys wanted to vacate this street right here, which is Market Street. But you can't do that because there's people that own lots here. And you have to, in fact, the county owns this one right here. So you can't vacate this street because you have to have safe access to it, not just an alley. And we're not trying to vacate this alley, we're trying to leave it there. But, so, in order for us to get access to all these properties, including the county's piece, that you remove their stuff off 30 feet of this alley, because their fences are clear over here. I mean, it's like, it's ridiculous how far the fences have gone over the property. And all this stuff down here, where you can see, they just threw houses up over, you know, property lines and everything else. We're not allowed to do that up here, or we wouldn't need to have this. They were allowed to do it. Yeah, so all of our customers is we are able to replat this and then use this for our access to our home. And we'll use this street here for access to this, for the gate in there, secure gate. And it'll just be this part here. We have this as a buffer between us, the houses and that. They do something with it later, but right now. Did that answer any of that? Oh.
Yeah, it did.
Anything else for the Van Horns now? You got something?
Well, since you're up here and we've got the map up, and we saw the drainage study, again, since you're up here and we've got that up, how do you feel about the drainage study? And, I know I can't remember exactly where, the recommendation was to put, it was a detention pond.
Yes, okay.
Again, we may not want him to get into this yet, but you might as well just get it out there
Yeah,
because.
I appreciate you asking. Okay, so, if you guys go further down the street, okay.
If you would.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Bill Farringer with CEPI, 6080 Enterprise Drive. The drainage study was completed last week and provided, as the staff said. As you can tell, the slope all goes to the northwest, and that's not going to change. So a small detention pond right up in that northwest corner is going to be necessary, to where the drainage will go to there, be detained, and then let out on historic flows. So yeah, right up in that northwest corner is where the detention area would be at. So.
That's lot 4.
Excuse me?
Well, that will be in lot 4.
Yes, yes, sir. So yeah, so that's the plan for the detention. So.
If you go past Kyle's, here's where it's gonna come out, this corner right there. Whoever put whoever did the road to his house next to us, they put in, I think, 15 or 17-inch culvert in there that goes from our property under his road. So if you guys lived here in Casper, every one of you has seen the millions that Casper has spent on drainage. And you can still see it floods a lot. So I don't know who told them that would compensate for the amount of drainage that's coming off of our property, but they put it in. So in order to avoid anybody not getting flooded, we're willing to do the detention pond, but they spent millions of dollars on a pond just 3,000 feet away from that. There is a huge pond down there off of McKinley. Do you know where so you're going on McKinley and right where the houses are, they kind of end that big, right there is a huge, probably a 1 million gallon pond.
I'm well aware of that pond. I used to own it.
You bet.
I did. I did the subdivision around the school.
So
I
I'm
had
not
to give
exact-
that to the city of Casper.
I'm not exactly sure how this is going to stop if we do a drainage pond there and it fills up, and then he only has a 15-inch or 18-inch drain going through his deal. What happens when our pond gets full? It's going to still do what it did, only now we have, 30,000, 40,000 gallons of water sitting there. I don't know how that works. I really don't. But we'll do whatever you guys or whatever,
Sometimes there's no common sense.
Yeah, well,
I always marvel at, we built the swimming pool for NCHS.
Oh.
We had to sprinkle the pool.
yeah.
Yeah, there's fire sprinklers in all the pools.
That's a good idea. Well, but anyway, guys, so we did do the drainage studies. We took care of that. We're trying to watch out for the environment and the animals and everything that was addressed last time. We're going to have easements and properly built roads and everything else. So we'll do whatever you need us to do to get it done.
Anything else for the Van Horns at this time? Thank you.
I would like to just add one more, or maybe another couple of statements here. We already talked about the drainage study. At the last meeting, it seemed like there was some confusion as to what we were doing here. A lot of the
residents out there kept talking about rezoning and needing to rezone if they're against the rezone. We're not requesting a rezone at all. It's simply a replat. Just moving lot lines around, eliminating some. So there's no rezoning that's necessary on this project. So just wanted to throw that out there in case some of the residents are be discussing rezoning again. So, and then if we could have a moment afterwards to respond to some of the comments.
We'll take care of you.
Thank you.
All right. It's time that we move into the public hearing. Time we move into the public hearing. So this is to open the public hearing for MS 26-01. That's the Allendale edition. So I'll remind everyone that we're going to hold you to 5 minutes so that we can get out of here at a reasonable hour. And at this time, those in favor of the application, you may come forward and give us your name and address and let us know you're in favor of the application.
We didn't ask anybody to come and do this because we don't want to cause no hate upon where we're at, and divide the community up there. So the people that were in our favor of it, we asked them not to come because we don't need that. I know it's important for this, but we don't want them singled out because they all live up there. There's 33 families that live up there, and you probably got 7 of them that are, not wanting to have it, but the rest of them are. Not all of them, but like I say, we just didn't want to cause any hate, discontent in the community, so we asked they didn't come.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application, you may come forward. One last time, anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application, you may come forward now. Okay. We'll move into those that are opposed. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the application, you may come forward now. Mr. Studer,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You need my vitals?
please.
Bernie Studer, 2951 Allendale. May I ask Mr. Van Horn a couple questions? Or should I?
If they're copacetic, we're not looking for any confrontation here.
Oh, no.
Okay.
If I do, kick me out.
All right.
Mark. You're referring to an alley?
Yes, sir.
Which one, was that behind Sol's building?
Could you pull that up? Yes, it's actually the one he's got marked private property, but it isn't designated alley. It's not dedicated.
Okay, but it's not Jackson Street.
No, sir. So
Okay,
this one here is. So this one here is the alley.
okay,
This is Jackson Street.
okay, the next question. Were those your surveyors that were out there like 10 days ago or so?
So what we did was we asked, and there was a little bit of confusion there. We asked that because we're working with attorney roads to get in here, we asked them to go do the center of the street. And they were actually, in this communication, they were supposed to stop right here. They did it all the way here.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine, Mark. That's what I need to know. I'm in opposition for a few issues, and my issues are relative to his whole project. You can sit down. Thank you. relative to my issues relative to the whole project that Mr. Van Horn wants to do, I think they're relatively minor. The only things I may have some things I'm not quite understanding properly, but if he's going to improve Jackson Street, his surveyors did plant some stakes, orange stakes, and it says Jackson Street on it. So I inferred that that was going to be developed as Jackson Street. I may be wrong. And I did tell the surveyors that Jackson Street was vacated by the county. By my mom did it. This is Mary Johnson at 2965 Allendale, from the north side of 2961 Allendale to Spicer. So with this multi-unit storage proposal has now become a replat issue. It's kind of confusing to me. I think we have an adverse possession issue, Wyoming statute, and I don't know if it's well, the numbers are 1-3-103 and 104. I don't know if that's chapter, section, and paragraph, but there's 10 years. I think the Galluses owned that property whenever, and I never can remember Kathy's last name, but she owned it and sold it to Mr. Van Horn. They took no action with all these fences that Mark was talking about. I don't know why they're there. I've always known that, you know, look on the county GIS, there's, in my garden, there's this Jackson Street. I knew that was there. But I thought that was only for, going to be for government/public use. The fences and the use of the property, I don't know about being abandoned. That's what the statute says, being abandoned. But it has been more than 10 years on all these issues here. Jack 295. Okay, I said that already. But if the plat was invalid, that we all seen, I would have, if I was Mr. Van Horn, I would have marked my corners. But he has marked center line of Jackson Street. I apologize for not having a printed picture. Can I offer a picture of the stakes on my phone?
I don't know how we're gonna pass that around. I was out there
I'll
this
hand it to you.
afternoon. I've seen the orange stakes, so.
Okay,
if you
well,
guys-
what my main concern is, my 91-year-old mother, they put in a modular home and all, there was no issues when that was put in. There were no issues when they bought the property in 1975, but he's got that center line right smack at the end of their modular home. What are you gonna do? Kick my mom out and move that modular home? Thank you.
Questions for Mr. Studer? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're still in the public hearing and we're asking for those in opposition to the application to come forward, please.
Kyle Sowell. I live at 2975 Allendale.
I didn't catch the name, I'm sorry.
Kyle Sowell. In your packet, you probably received another letter from pictures that I recently took right after the last snowstorm we had. And you can see all the water that accumulated in my property. There's been some misinformation that the area directly to the north of my back building that has been graded and the elevation has changed. That's why that doesn't drain. And there's been nothing done to correct that. I wasn't aware that there was a study done, and I wasn't contacted, and I would have explained some of that. So my concern is still the water issue there and the water issue at the end of Spicer to the south that had been mitigated years ago. And if that road were to be graded or cut down, that will destroy that and all that water will come down to their property and my property and on down. So that, I don't think that was even discussed with CEPI. I have a real issue with that, and I have a real issue with the access coming in and out of there, and having those storage units directly next to me where my building is. But if you have any questions on those pictures, there's one picture that's an aerial that shows what that area next to my building looked like before the grading, and then another aerial picture showing it after he graded that. And he said he didn't do any kind of dirt work. Well, it has been done.
Question for Mr. Sewell.
Do you have any questions on those pictures?
Yes, I do. You still have drainage concerns after talking with the Wyoming Department environmental rep that came out. It says it did speak with you.
Yes, they did. What happened was when that issue first started, I thought it was groundwater coming from because it was a springtime. They came out and looked at it and they said, no, there wasn't a problem. Turned out there's a natural drainage way that comes all the way probably from Gallus, all the way to the past me and on to the north. That's what they blocked. The berm that they put up is useless. It didn't do anything. The drainage way is totally blocked. And that drainage way does go on to the northwest if it were cleared. But it was totally full, as you can see in those pictures. He blocked it with all the grading that was done on whatever street that would have been.
So I'm confused as well. I read through this DEQ memo dated May 16th, so 3 weeks ago.
I didn't know that they were even out there. They didn't contact me at all.
So they make reference to talking to you.
Well, that was in 24. What's the date of that letter?
25. Oh, I'm sorry.
Five.
That was a year ago.
Yes, yeah. So they haven't been out since then.
Okay. Ken, is that everything?
Yes,
you had?
thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the application? We're still in the public hearing phase. Good evening.
Good evening, Chair. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Alden Young, 1180 Huckleberry Lane. Live to the north of the proposed operation. I put together a community letter and had my neighbors sign up, and I'm hoping that you guys had an opportunity to read that and see the participation in the agreement with the letter. If not, I can read it to you. The main priority is we don't want a storage unit in our neighborhood and what it brings. Also, it was mentioned to me that one of the neighbors that has a large outflow pipe for the neighborhood has noticed that the drain flow is diminished. So I don't know if it's the dry weather or if it's subject to some of the previous work that's been accomplished in the proposed area. Is there any questions or comments about the letter or the participation?
I have a question. I drive Allendale every day because I was raised just to the north of there. My daughter lives down there, and I live up on the Elkhorn Creek. So I watched you build your house, and did you have to build a retention pond with yours?
No, nothing like that was required. I have all that drainage, and my road was raised enough that the majority of that continues onto my property and flows out to that
To the
Casper.
city reservoir down there.
Yeah. I met with the state what the name of their group is that manages water mitigation and stuff like that. And tried to get them to come to my site, and they said as long as you're doing BMPs, there's nothing to worry about. And, you know, if there's an incident, they'll come out and investigate. So in the beginning, I took pictures every 3 or 4 weeks. You know, I had berms set up to collect any silt that was going to go downstream and influence the performance of the ponds.
Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the offer's open for folks that are opposed to the application to come forward as part of the public hearing. Good evening.
Lori Young at 1180 Huckleberry Lane. I was unaware that they were going to build a retention pond down at the corner of our road. So I have concerns about how that will impact our road in the flooding. Also, I didn't understand that they were going to build the road right beside our road to go up. And what are they going to do in order to make sure that our road doesn't go away? And then we have to rebuild that road. But we were unaware of that. And when we built our home, we had all kinds of, you know, like Al asked everything. He's a question guy, and he made sure that we were right and that all we had to put in was that culvert, whether it wasn't a hillbilly thing, it was something that they recommended, and we did put it in underneath our road so that there wouldn't be any problem with the water. And we do have major concerns with, because they didn't buy that when we bought ours. So we were just doing what they told us to protect what the people around us and our lot. And also we have a big concern about the crime rate, about the storage units. And I know they're going to be fences and stuff, but we bought that so that we could see the mountain and that, you know, it would be a part of it. And it was my understanding when we plotted ours that we couldn't build a house on any less than 2 acres. So I'm assuming that they are the same, that they can't build a house on any less than 2 acres. And they were saying that they would put in all these kind of trailers and stuff. But it was my understanding that they couldn't do that. It has to be a 2-acre lot. Can't be any less than 2-acre lot. So that's my concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public hearing still open for those opposed to the application for the Allendale addition.
Hello, Commissioners, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Robert Grant. I'm at 2937 Allendale Boulevard, and I'm speaking in opposition to the plat change. Unlike housing, parks, neighborhood services, and community facilities, a storage facility creates very few jobs and little tax generating activity and minimal community benefit while imposing long-term impacts on nearby residents. You know, increased crime rates, increased traffic, the visual aesthetics of a storage unit there, and it just doesn't coincide with the residential neighborhood. If I wouldn't have bought the house that we're in if there were storage units lining the hill back in there. I think it's going to devalue my property value, you know, and if I decide to move, I feel like I'll get less money for my house. Not only that, I've got 3 girls, and they ride their bikes in the street. I feel like a storage unit is going to bring in a lot more traffic. We already have issues with people speeding up and down the road because it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And the increased traffic, you know, we got dog walkers, people walking the street, riding their bikes, lots of kids. That's a safety concern for me. And I guess that's all I have. Pretty much what everybody else is saying that's opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have any questions for me?
Looks like you're good. Thank you. Anyone else opposed to the application? You can come forward now. Good evening.
I'm Dave Mathis. I live at 3030 Allendale. And my question is about well, not question, I just got a brief statement here, but I do construction work and I've worked up at 26 where the retention pond is, the one that they built over that way. I've worked in 3 houses over in that area. And the sub pumps in them houses in the basements are continuously running. And I want to know what the repercussions are coming to my house if this system gets put in. I don't want to have my sump pump running 24/7. I don't even have to deal with mine right now. I don't believe that I've worked my whole life, ran my own business, small business, to be able to buy this house that I bought 7 years ago, my first house. And I got to do enough work on this thing to fix it up, to get it up to par, to be in good shape. And I don't want, when I get done fixing my place up, I don't want to have to do it again at my expense. So my question, more not question, but is I shouldn't have to take any kind of financial things out of my pocket because someone else wants to make money. I have no problem with someone else making money, building the subdivisions, doing any of that kind of stuff. But I don't want to have to be the guinea pig on this situation. There's been water tests, yes and yes, but I've experienced running water under these houses over there for this retention pond that they have. So I just want to make sure that I'm not going to have work everything I've worked so hard for me and my family, to have it taken away from me, or me have to struggle even harder after I fix my place up. And I'm doing it step by step, little bit by little bit, legally, but what I need to do. And I just don't want to be the person being a guinea pig to find out that my house is the one that's going to be sinking or having water running under it, or my foundation getting any worse than it already is at the moment. So that's just my statement. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're still in the public hearing. We're hearing from folks that are opposed to the application for Allendale Edition.
Stephanie Keeney, 3002 Allendale Boulevard. I have a question, because in the case before us, they had proposed what they were building and what it was going to look like. In everything that I've seen, Lot 3 is for an undisclosed or not yet determined use. Now, one day I happened to be in the planning office, and there were talk about some not quite code violations on where Mr. Van Horn lives now, but excessive stuff on his land. And I have friends and family that live out on Bull Run also. And I'm worried with that Lot 3 of undisclosed use, if that stuff that's out there is going to come to our neighborhood because it's bermed up, you can't see it real well. I value my house. I value my property value. We already have a junkyard down the street. I don't want another one across the street. So if that's the case, I want to know what the house is going to look like, or what the plans are, the storage unit layout, and what that Lot 3 is going to be used for. Because undecided, we can just pack more things in there. We're cleaning up our neighborhood.
So to answer your question, I would invite you to stop by the planning and zoning office. I mean, right now, we're just talking about a replat, so the individual site plans for houses or storage units or whatever's gonna be on lot 3, that would be a separate process where they would have to come
Right,
through.
and right now, I've been there, it's undisclosed. So, I mean, that's my concern. I mean, we can put a house here and storage units here and a retention pond here. I want to know what's going to go in that undisclosed area because of what's out at his residence now.
I suppose you can ask the applicant if he's willing to.
With all the stuff that you have out in Bull Run now, that you have. But you're selling that property as what you said in the past. Then where is that?
It's all insold. Not one thing.
I'm just curious because we've had a lot of upgrades to our.
Look around the neighborhood there.
The trucking company and. I know.
Okay, folks, we're gonna have to move on. All right, so we are still in a public hearing and we're talking to folks that are in opposition to the Allendale addition as an application. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Good evening.
Evening. My name is Pam Oldham. I live at 2964 South Jefferson in Allendale. I also own 2801 South McKinley, also in Allendale. The McKinley house has a natural aquifer underneath it, and I'm very concerned. I do have a sump pump. It doesn't run all the time, but if there were changes were made upstream, I think that would have an effect. So with that said, I lived there in 25 when we had a significant flood at Jefferson. I was up to my knees in water running around my house. So this drainage study doesn't even begin to accommodate what happened then. There was so much water, and they built the pond after they had, down the road there, after all that water, and people's boats and cars and stuff were floating down the streets down below us. So I think any pond that may be created would probably be inadequate if we had another situation like we did in '05. There was a lot of water, And, I know we're not having it this year, apparently, but it could happen again. As far as Allendale goes, we have a quiet, natural environment there that we really treasure. And a bunch of extra new lights in the area are not welcome. More traffic is not welcome. And the storage unit situation is very hard to monitor. Recently, at a different storage unit somewhere in town, a methamphetamine lab was found. We don't want that in Allendale. So please consider our concerns, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the Allendale addition proposal?
Hello, my name is Michelle Mathis and I live at 3030 Allendale. I've spoke with an engineer who told me about different testing for the water, and all we have is one man's word. Where do we see the results for those tests? How do we see that? And was a geotechnical report done about the dirt conditions? Was there a perk test done to see how much water you could dig and how much water, or how far you could dig and how much water would come up. I was told that the big water tower on Outer Drive between Country Club and McKinley sits on top of a hot spring. What happens when they disrupt all that dirt and things get moved? What happens? If there's a hot spring up under there and they're moving the dirt, where are the proper tests? We've got one person's word. Where do we see the results? No comment? This is leaving all of us with, you might get shit out of luck here pretty soon. How do we handle that? One person's dream should not shit on everybody else's.
So there was a whole list of different agencies that have been provided with an opportunity to comment, and we actually have comments as part of the packet that we're looking at here today. So the folks on staff, I'm sure, would be happy to show you.
See these results, and are all the proper testing
Health
done?
Department, geotech, I don't believe that's been done. That's
A
not
perk test?
generally required before. That's part of the health department stuff, and I understand that city water and sewer is being proposed here, so a perk test wouldn't necessarily apply.
Okay. And how do we see these results?
Sabrina, could you help the young lady with that?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners and ma'am, the packet is online
Online?
on our website, on our Natrona County website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I'd like to alleviate some of your fears. The hot springs that was mentioned was an old oil well. You can drive down Country Club Road and look off to the left, and they plugged it, but it failed. So when you go down deep enough, there is hot water, but it's 4,000 foot down and a couple $1 million to get to it. So I did the subdivision around Sagewood School. We're in the Cody Shale there. Cody Shale's probably 3,000 foot thick. So unless there's springs coming to the surface on that property, subsurface water is not going to be a problem.
Good evening.
I'm Sharon Schrader, and I live at 2880 South McKinley. And in 2006, 2007, we put a loafing shed on our garage. It took 4 months to be able to cement the poles in because the groundwater was so high in the holes. So I am concerned about that. I'm also concerned about the storage unit. I don't think we need one. We've got 2 in the area. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Hello.
I appreciate the opportunity. My name's Kevin Hoover. I'm at 2994 Allendale. I'm directly to the west of Kyle, down the proposed access road there. I'm concerned with traffic and the storage units and possibly crime in that area that seems to go along with the storage units. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, my name's Amanda Grant, and I'm at 2937 Allendale. I am also opposed to the replat and the potential storage units that are there. I do not see it as a benefit to the neighborhood. I see it as a detriment to the neighborhood. I also have 3 children there. It is a huge safety concern for what storage units tend to bring in: drugs, weapons, not the best sort of people. And I don't want my kids exposed to that. with that potential, drugs and meth lab and stuff, that stuff gets exposed to the air. My children, my animals, us are right there as well. This is all for personal gain, not for a benefit of a neighborhood that is obviously very opposed to having it there. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in opposition?
Good evening. My name is Peter Radio, 3002 Allendale Boulevard. I just had a couple of concerns. One, they're stating that they're going to get city water and city sewer to their new house or whatever they're going to do up there. And I remember when Al built his, he had a heck of a time with the city of Casper getting city water just at his house, because right now the current situation is we are tapped out on that street. I mean, they're going to have to come and put in all new water lines just to support anything added onto that, because right now there's not enough. My second concern would be with Kyle's property. Just the little amount of dirt that Mr. Van Horn has moved so far has already caused nice flooding and puddling in between his shop and his house. Now, this is the driest season we've had in a long time. What's going to happen when we actually get moisture again? Is the whole thing going to be a lake? That's all I got.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Okay, last chance. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to proposed Allendale addition plating? I don't see anybody moving. Sure.
My name's Sean Rothmeyer. I live at 3015 Allendale Boulevard. I'm right next to that Spicer Street that you say that they're going to go up through. Okay. The water that does come through there and everything, my basement does fill up every time there's moisture. So that is a concern for me. And then he had drove his bulldozer up through my property on right next to the road there and plugged off some of the stuff up there. So I got a marsh, you know what alkali bog is? That's what I got reforming back there. So I got to kind of refix it already. So I'm worried about the water going back out, get it fixed correctly so it works right. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. One last time. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the application?
My name is Gary Van Treese. I live at 2934 Allendale Boulevard. I purchased a property in 2002. I moved out there because of the ambiance and out of town. Did not ever imagine somebody want to open a commercial type of business out there. If I had known that, I would not purchase that land. And there's a lot of people that are going to take a hit on their homes because we put a commercial type of operation out there, I guarantee you. And I'm strictly against it. Thank you.
Anybody else speaking in opposition? We're still doing a public hearing. Okay, last time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? All right. This is to close the public hearing Consideration of the Allendale Edition MS 26-01. So Mr. Van Horn and Mrs. Van Horn, we promised you guys would take care of you, give you an opportunity to come forward and have some rebuttal time with the things you've heard.
There's so much, where do I start? So I did, about his drainage behind his house, he doesn't live there, but that's beside the point. There was a pretty sharp bunch of stuff down there. I went in there, if you go up there and look, all I did was just smooth the ditch out. The ditch is exactly how it was, it just doesn't have the sharper edges on it. It's still allowed to flow just like it always was. Yeah, I believe that these people have been flooding for years, and for some reason they want to blame it on me when I haven't. If you go up there and look at it, our property is elevated above theirs, and none of the water since I have bought that property has gone on anybody's property. I put dikes up, I did just what they asked me to do, so it wouldn't go on their property. But everybody says I'm flooding their basements, I'm whatever it is.
But the gentleman on the corner said that there's actually a creek, and he used to, when he bought his home, he could see the creek running across. Our land comes up like this, that goes below them. That has nothing to do with us. We don't have any natural springs. There is some natural springs that you can see on the lower properties, but we have none that runs off on theirs.
We're elevated.
You can't see any, like, if there were water coming down from our property, there's no sign of that, and our drainage study would have shown that.
And if you go to Kyle's house, he lives in a bowl.
Oh.
It is certain, so when it rains, it's got nowhere to go. He
Well-
said there's a drain in there somewhere, but if you build a drain in there, it's supposed to go to some type of a drainage deal, not onto my property where I have to maintain his drain. So
Well, the last meeting, he said the sump pump actually goes out to the middle of his property between his house and his shop. And if you drive by there, that's where there's always laying water.
But we're not gonna take that down to those levels, do not the rest of it out. It's gonna still be elevated, but it will be angled in toward our property. So when the water hits our stuff, it will go down to the drain. Now, if there's a concern about the pond that they're putting down there, that was not our idea. And I do believe if it ever floods, it's because he didn't put a big enough pipe in to let it flow through, because there is so much retainage, you know that, down at the bottom, that it should just flow through. It shouldn't, because what's gonna happen is if we do put that pond in there, and then we have a rain that floods Casper like we've had, it's not just gonna flood this, it's gonna flood Casper. So it probably will do something and run over the top of his road if we have that retention pond there and it's not allowed to just flow as it comes. So that's yet to be addressed. But there's been a lot of stuff said about the crime going up. Kathy Sedmak owns storage units in town. She's never had any problems with meth labs or drugs.
There's no electricity
Or-
inside the store, any
Yeah,
of the
there's
storage or
gonna
any.
be down-facing lights on all the storage units, so you will be able to see the building and the land below it. You won't be able to see the outshine of it. About the young kids, it's all, and all that stuff, it's gonna be a time deal. It's gonna be from 8 in the morning until 5 at night or whatever. After that, you're not allowed in there. So there's not gonna be any night stuff. If your kids are driving in the street, I'm sorry, you should probably keep them out of the street. We're not gonna run them over. But the traffic is gonna go up through Market Street. We're only gonna use Spicer for us and our daughter. Those will be the only people traveling on Spicer. And if you've ever been up there, where, in his name, the guy built the house up there, his goes right up here like this will go right beside it. I mean, you don't even hit Allendale. You should hit probably 60, 70 feet of Allendale, and all the houses are up that way. So there won't be any additional traffic going up Allendale. It's right at the entrance by the mailbox. So that's.
And our water access, we've talked to people and we're up on the hill. If you go, all the way over to our other side of our property, that's where we're accessing our water. And Elbin had actually, contacted us and wanted an easement all the way across our property for his to do the same.
10 or
So-
12 feet wide for 1,300 feet. And I said, no, because we could never do anything with it. It's actually, So we told him no.
So they know
think
that's
that's
where
where it
we're
kinda
getting
started,
our
you know.
water.
But we will be getting our water from the other source over there
Yes.
on their approval, of course. But like I said, guys, there's a bunch of stuff being made up, like we're causing their water problems. They've had water problems for years. You know, Bob Burback, one of my best friends, he's like my dad. He's lived up there for 50 years. He's had water in his place for 50 years. I'm not responsible for that. I'm not the guy that did that, but it's been there and it's always gonna be there because those properties are low. And there is aquifer that goes through Bob's and this gentleman over here. It's not our fault. That's purposely why we didn't mess with that part over there, because you guys had asked why we're only doing this part of it. Because we need to deal with this first. And this is gonna be as it is. We're not gonna fix any of the drainage because we're not touching it yet, you know? I mean, but when we do it, we will fix all the drainage and make it go to the back. So, I don't know. That's all I gotta say. I'm sorry, I just get, you know. It is what it is. Thank you guys. Any questions?
So the gentleman with the shop
Yeah,
off of Spicer
yes,
and where the water, you mentioned pools in there.
yep.
What's he gonna do with his water?
What's he been doing with his water?
So I don't
I
know
mean,
how they
seriously.
were able to build it because the house is this high, the garages are this, the shops are this high, and it's like a fishbowl.
Yes.
So I don't know.
These buildings in this house are probably 2 feet to 2.5 feet higher than this bottom part of this lot. It's been built up for years. This just didn't happen. And so when the environmental people that he called us asked us to come up and talk to us, I had to put a berm in here, done at an angle like this, you can actually see it. But this is his natural berm that he had up there. I did not do this. It went all the way around the neighborhood of his house. But that lady come up there, she said, we want you to build the berm back to your height. So your stuff doesn't come out of the ground. Well, his property is already lower, right? And I told her, I said, if I do that, and it does really flood, it's just longer than it burst. She said, but that's what he wants. I said, all right, sure, she was in. And then so she said, he wants you to make this long too. Now you remember that. So anyway, I made this higher too, so that none of my water would go this way and go up.
So, would you be opposed to a drainage easement for him to be able to get that water out of there?
Well, so I gotta drop the level of my land to accommodate you?
Suppose it's his problem how he does it. It's,
If he would build his hole up, it wouldn't collect there, it would drain out through the alley and go that way. But he has a retaining pond in there that, it's not a retaining pond, but I don't know where it's supposed to go, but he said there was a drain in there, and if so, when I bought the property, we looked every inch of that over. It was never mentioned to us that his water was somehow draining magically into my property. If he wants to dig through my property and put a drain into that where,
Alvin?
Alvin's is, I'm fine with that. But I'm not paying for none of it.
Okay.
But he's more, or he could build the dirt up, fill it full of,
okay.
and his pond will go away. But as far as the water in the basements, we haven't done anything up there
Well, and the last
that has come
The
close.
last meeting we had, they said that their sump pump had, so here is our property, then there's houses, then there is Allendale Street, the house was across the street.
And this lady said that whatever we did caused water in the basement. We're like, how did that happen? We would have had to flood the street, flood everybody's houses to get it over.
There's a lot of groundwater up there, right?
There is, and I was really surprised to see natural springs. I had honestly never seen natural springs like that in town.
Well, and like I said, for us to get blamed for a crime rate going up and water problems that we didn't cause, or
Yeah, Kathy was supposed to be here tonight as well, but she obviously didn't make it. She was just gonna let you know that she has 3 of the storage units in town, and she has no crime rate. She has security cameras, and she has people.
there's
that
no meth labs,
maintain-
there's no.
No, yeah, and nobody lives on campus of them, and we will be right there for these, so.
And they will be secured, so nobody will go in them after a certain time, and nobody will, there won't be traffic going up Allendale. there will be no reason for it because it'll come in on the lower Market Street, so.
Any questions for the Van Horns?
Just a quick question. How many units are you expecting to build?
Well, we don't know. We're probably gonna put, there'll probably be 20 per side, and we're gonna put 9 of them in. So it'll probably be 200, roughly. But if you guys have ever had a storage unit, and a lot of people haven't, you go there one time to put your stuff in storage. Then you pay your bill, till you either lose it, or you get your stuff out, and then you go there to get it. Not many people go there time, and if we see some guy like this, hey, can I rent one of your storage units? No, we're not gonna do that, you know, so I mean, we're not gonna encourage any of that stuff, but people are, if you drive, the next time you guys drive by a storage unit, look down the aisles of it, see how many cars are there. There's never anybody there. You might see one car. So once they get full, this won't be an issue. But like I say, they will not be driving up Allendale. So this will not affect anybody's traffic up Allendale. And it will not affect any of their water because we're doing the drainage. I'm opposed to the reserve pond. I'm more about him. He needs to put in a bigger pipe to go through there so the water will go underneath
And
the
then
steel.
we will match right up to
And
it.
we'll adapt all of our stuff to his. But I guarantee you, if that floods, it's gonna be because his pipe is too small. And he put it so low that we have to actually, it is at the bottom of it. You know, I mean,
And the other
so-
thing to address is, she said that you have to have 2-acre lots. Before the replat, we don't have to have 2-acre lots because the way it already is that correct, you guys?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and the Van Horns, they're existing non-conforming lots based on the plat that was divided in 1921.
So we are doing all 2-acre or better plots out of them. But like I say, we're trying to follow every rule.
And we're trying not to have a bunch of people up there because we don't want a bunch of people either,
Yeah.
but we could, you know, those lots could each be a person, but we don't want that.
Yeah, we could put 80 houses up there, but, you know, we choose not to do that.
So, I got a question for you. So this is just a replat.
Yeah.
Were you required to tell everybody what you plan to do with that?
Why would that, I mean,
No,
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
we
no, I-
weren't, so
So you did that just for
we did it,
transparency?
so yes, as a courtesy thing, you did, this is what happens, you
Well,
know, when
then-
you tell.
I mean, this is a replat hearing, and we really can't even look at what the future uses may be.
Exactly.
We just have to look at the legality. Can you replat it?
Right.
And does it meet all the standards? So,
Well, and another thing is, I don't, you know, the young lady asked what I was doing, where's the, you know, what we're building, where's the plans, do I have to clear that through every neighbor I have to build what I want to build? I mean, did you have to do that when you built your house? I didn't know I had to
well, I
have my.
did because we have covenants, but
Right, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a covenant, but yeah, I will follow every covenant rule there is up there, and. Sorry, guys,
Anything else for the Van Horns? Thank you. Mr. Studer, you had something you wanted to add, apparently.
So, if I can.
Chairman, just so, cause we are recording, when they're away from the mic, it's not gonna pick it up.
Access to this here, Valley will go and stop. Because we own this property also. So, well, no, it'll go to the 4th. So, we're going to, Valley's gonna go from here, third one up, and then the street will go all the way to here. The reason the alley will stop here is because we're fencing off.
I'm more concerned with the width, the right of way.
Oh,
So, Mr. Studer, could you repeat your question again?
I
that
was
we can
wondering,
record?
he mentioned it earlier in his talk, I just want to get it clear in my mind. He mentioned a 30-foot right-of-way for the alley and a 60-foot right-of-way for Jackson Street area. Is that correct?
That's what it is, but we only get half of it. Because we only own half the property.
Yeah, okay, I understand that concept. Now, the second question is, I think Missy said you will move if you had to do something, you'd move the water to the back side. Is that the east side?
So that's this side, it would be all the way east, and go all the way down to the corner where, Bill Bonley owns, and then Will owns.
Does that go to the pond that's up there? Not that far? Yeah, I was just curious, if you're gonna move it to the water to the back.
Yeah,
Oh, it is?
yeah, it's.
Okay. I was just curious, you're gonna move it to the backside, then where does it go? That
No,
was my question.
this isn't runoff water. This is pressure water that you flush your toilets with.
Well, that's,
So he's talking about source water from the city.
okay, I got that, but Missy said if we have to, we'll move the water to the backside. Is that correct, Missy? Okay, so we're talking about two different things. Well,
And so we're gonna grab our water from over here.
that's fine. I understand now. Thank you.
Satisfied?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
You have something, sir?
Sean Rothmeyer, 3015 Allendale. So when he gets the water going in, where's the water going to be going out with the sewer? That's my question.
I don't know what the map looks like for sewer collection for the
Well,
201
downhill is going
facilities.
down to Allendale.
I'm sorry?
Downhill will be going down to Allendale.
Sewer has to flow downhill and they always put it in easements, so it'd probably go down the main road.
Right. That'll disturb the stuff that I have right there with the alkali underneath. That was my concern. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Planning and Zoning Commission. We've heard a lot. So, yes, sir.
Few questions for Mr. Behringer. Can we-
Yes. Yes, sir.
So we've heard a lot about water and drainage, groundwater, and you've done the drainage study. Would you be able to respond to all the comments made about the water through this hole?
What we're looking at is just the surface water, the runoff that's going to be coming off the ground. I think a lot of what the folks here are talking about is like subsurface water. There's sump pumps and things of that sort. And that's not, whatever happens up here on this property isn't going to affect, the subsurface, because they're not going to be moving, thousands and thousands of yards of dirt. It's pretty much going to be graded off, flat enough to build buildings, and then the
I think
drainage
the concern is about collection of water in a retention pond. Would that ultimately seep in and become groundwater?
Well, it's not a retention pond, it's a detention pond, which is the surface water will run to the pond, and then it will be released through a smaller pipe or whatever at the same flows that it's being released at now. It's called historic flows. So
your professional opinion then is that detention is not a groundwater, does not create any additional groundwater issues?
it should not affect the groundwater in the area, because it'll still be, the whole purpose of a detention pond is to let the water out.
I'm sorry,
It's just to slow it down and then let it out at a slower rate.
So generally, you're talking about minutes and maybe just an hour or two. And the
Right.
pond will be flushed out.
Yeah, you've designed them before. So yeah.
I've owned several of them. I still own several of them. I've never seen water in any of my detention ponds.
There may be water that gets there, but it doesn't stay long.
Yeah, by the time the rain's over, if there's a little bit of water in there, it still exits.
Right.
And you just have to design it so it doesn't flood the neighborhood, and you only have to worry about disturbed ground. So the
Correct.
stuff coming off the top of the buildings, and generally when you design something like that, you're designing it to flow away from and not cause problems with the
Right.
neighbors.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it ends up being better for that because you're taking care of all the water.
That's the goal. Yeah.
Does the current drainage study in any way address the water that's retained at Mr. Sowell's place? Does it allow for that?
No, we did not look at Mr. Soul's property. We were looking at Van Horn's property to take that around.
But it is designed not to add to it.
It's correct.
With
Yeah.
surface water.
Correct. Yes.
Can you ask for an exemption to building that detention pond? Because right down the road, I mean, I had to give the city of Casper a huge chunk of my land.
Right.
And they, I mean, they designed that so that it takes care of all of the water coming off of that whole drainage there. So I just think doing a little detention pond is kind of overkill.
And we don't disagree with that. But, yeah, and this is just a small one. It's like a 1/4 of an acre detention pond. So it's pretty tiny, just enough to let it slow it down and then let it get out. So it's not washing out the road or anything. So, okay.
Ken, anything else for Mr. Farringer?
No, thank you.
Certainly.
I've lived at that property since 2011, and the pipe that he's talking about was put in by the people who developed the building that I'm talking about. The 12-inch pipe, it was put into the natural drainage way that comes from the south and goes north, past my building and turns to the west. All that time, that back parking lot has never, ever had water in it until Mr. Bennett plowed that water or that dirt around the backside of my building and blocked the drainage way. So that's never been flooded before, and I think you can see that pipe in some of those pictures that I sent you that was put in there. Nothing that needs to be adjusted other than that needs to be opened up again, and it's not on my property.
So we asked the question, Mr. Van Horn, if he'd be willing to work with you to make that work? And I heard yes.
All I need to do is have that opened up so that water drains away from my parking area and away from my property. That natural drainage way isn't even part of my property. But it all backs up because he's blocked that with what he graded around the corner. So if he just clears that up, I'm happy.
Noted. Thank you. All right, Planning and Zoning Commission, it's, we need to wrap this up. So, further discussion. Chair's looking for ultimately a motion for consideration of the application.
I would make the motion. I know change is always scary, but we have private property and we get to do what we want on our private property as long as it's within the bounds of the law. This has all met all of the bounds that we have the right to look at. So considering all relevant factors, including but not limited to those set forth in the 2013 subdivision regulations of Natrona County, I find that the major subdivision meets the general standards required. On that basis, I move to approve MS 26-01 with a do pass recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners with all the staff findings of fact incorporated by reference.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion?
A lot of what we heard here tonight can be determined at a future date with building permits and all that kind of stuff. We're just looking at the replat. We're taking a property that has 80 small lots that he could put trailer houses on. There's a number of things he could do with that because it's there. I always like when you're taking small cut up properties and replatting it into bigger lots that more fit the neighborhood. And I think four or five lots would fit this neighborhood a lot better than 80 lots. So that's another reason I'm in favor of it.
Okay.
And another thing, Mr. Chairman, is at the time of this application, this area is already zoned for commercial use. So any commercial venture is not new to this zoning process.
Yeah, I looked on my Google Maps and there is a current mini storage 600 yards away from this property. So it's not a new addition to the neighborhood.
So this property has commercial access at this time anyway.
I don't have anything else to add. I think you guys have made good points. I agree with what you said. I know, as you mentioned, I know change is hard, and this is going to be an interesting change for you all. And I'm sorry that it has to happen, but as Commissioner Christopherson mentioned, this is their property, and they're operating within the policies that have been set forth. So I will also be voting for replat.
And I will add that I too am voting in favor of. Heard a lot of folks, and I hear you talking about the concern. Again, change is hard. Storage units. The Van Horns are paying taxes on that property. They have their the right to do within the zoning structure of Natrona County to do what they are proposing to do. It's not our purview up here to say we've got enough storage units in town, we don't need any there. For those reasons, again, and it would be a tough change to live in that neighborhood, but the job we have is to review based on the planning and zoning rules that we have, and I believe that the Van Horns have jumped through practically everyone that's been asked of them. So I'm going to move on to the question. All those in favor of the motion to approve MS 26-01, the Allendale edition, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, seeing none. It's the recommendation of Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the Allendale edition as presented. So thank you folks for coming out. Okay, communications. No July 24th, 2026 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Our next Planning and Zoning meeting will be August 11th, 2026. Public comment. So this is the time where citizens may bring forth items of interest or concern that are not on the agenda. Please note that no formal action will be taken on these items during this time due to the open meeting law provisions. However, they may be scheduled on a future posted agenda if action is required. So public comment time. I don't see anybody jumping up. So, Chair would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I would make that motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed?